Hi, I'm Tom from Gear4music and I'm joined today by my friend Lucy from D'Addario, and we've got so many different clarinet reeds here to have a look at, but which ones are right for you? We're going to demystify the world of clarinet reeds to help you find your next reeds. So, Lucy, as I say, there's so many different boxes here in front of us. So why would people consider D'Addario for their next choice?
So we've worked really hard as a reed manufacturer to help produce the most consistent reeds, because that is really the biggest issue that single reed players face. So what we do is we make all of our reeds using a process called digital vamping. So what this means is that all of our reeds are cut on a machine and they go through rigorous control testing, and they can be thrown out of the process for a number of different reasons. And one of those is if they aren't within the strict tolerances that we choose, and we are one of the strictest tolerances of any reed brand on the market. So what this transpires for you as a player is that you're going to get more reeds out of the box playing exactly how you want them to, so it's less waste.
Because ultimately you can get a box of 10, but they all play so differently as well. So that one might be a bit too soft, one might be a bit too hard. You might find that Goldilocks reed in there that's just right, but it's a case of trying to navigate through that box of 10.
Exactly. So with us, I mean, I can never say it's 100% consistent because cane is a natural product. So you're sometimes going to get very, very slight variances in that, and we try and control it as best as we can. But you should be getting a lot more reeds out of the box playing exactly how you want them to.
And D'Addario have also gone into looking at organics now, is that correct?
Yes, it's very exciting and it's been a very recent launch. So what D'Addario Organics means is that we don't use any herbicides, pesticides or sprays at any point when we're producing our cane reeds, and this includes what we put into the soils and then when we are transferring them over to the US where the reeds are cut. And I think it's a very exciting development in terms of the environmental benefits for this, and additionally to being certified organic, and we are the only certified organic cane manufacturer on the market at the moment, we have actually gone full circle and have produced paper reed holders to go with the D'Addario organic range. As you can see, they are individually wrapped in clear plastic, but this is recyclable, and it's to make sure that the hygiene reasons and that the reeds stay perfect whilst they're being transported into Europe.
And I think it's also worth bearing in mind that they are essentially the same reeds.
Oh, 100%. It's just the new
certification and the new look there, so it really does help on that sustainability.
Definitely. And the organic nature of it won't change how the reeds plays. We've actually been working on becoming organic for a very long time, so there will be really no change in how these reeds play for you.
Fantastic. And to say, you've got the paper reed guards there, which I remember from growing up, and I remember my clarinet teacher sort of getting out her cigarette box actually and taking it out, and there's the reeds in there, and I paid her £1 for a new reed, so it's nice sort of to go back to those roots. But it's also worth bearing in mind that there are a range of different accessories that you can get as well, just sort of make sure that your reeds are in tip-top condition. So I mean, I've bought one of these years ago, so this is a Voz one within the D'Addario range, and I've had this for years, and there's also sort of a more modern D'Addario one here as well that you can get. But it's also sort of worth bearing in mind that you can get these reed cases as well.
Yes.
So you can put the reed vitalizer sort of humidity packs in there, just sort of make sure that your reeds are staying pristine for longer.
Yes, so what's great about the reed guards and the reed cases is the fact that they keep your reeds flat, so it prevents them from warping, and it just means that it will elongate the life of the reeds for you. But with the reed case, you can have the reed vitalizer pack within it, and what that means is that it keeps the reeds at a 72% humidity. So essentially your reeds will just stay happy. They won't dry out too fast, they won't taste too wet, and again, that is one of the things that elongates the life of them. A little tip with those packs is the fact that you do need to change them, and you can find them easily on Gear4music, but you do need to change them once they go hard, otherwise they will stop working. So definitely a tip to look out for.
I think it's also worth noting as well that things like these are sort of can be seen as single-use plastic. So by actually having a reed guard as well, it is reusing that plastic, so it's not all going to landfill.
Exactly, so all good.
So if we look at the reeds as going through the series, these ones are probably more familiar to a lot of people, the Rico and the Rico Royals.
Yes, so these are our kind of student reeds. I would like to say that reeds are for everyone, but these are great for students because they have a really overall thin design, But there are also a lot of pro players that use Rico and Royal as well because of, again, that thin design just gives them like a really responsive, snappy sound. So the Rico and the Royal, they come in two different cuts. They're exactly the same design, it's just one is filed and one is unfiled.
So what's the difference between filed and unfiled?
So the difference between filed and unfiled, so it just goes through a very, very thin extra cut. And you'll notice a filed reed because it has a straight line at the shoulder of the reed. And then the other one, the unfiled one, I always say it's like a smiley face because it doesn't have that filed edge on it.
Fantastic. So it is also worth noting that pro players use these just purely for the response as well.
Exactly.
So, you can pick it up, play, and you just get the sound that you want straight away.
Exactly.
So if you're sort of used to playing sort of the student reeds and sort of wanting to progress onto something a little bit more different, what reeds might you start looking at?
So you can use the Voz, and these are great if you want to go out into kind of more of a jazz style. Then you have the Mitchell Lurie, and these can give you a nice warm sound whilst doing more classical repertoire. And then you have the plastic cover. So these are kind of a bridge in between using cane and using a synthetic reed because they are covered in a formula. So the reed underneath is a Royal reed, but they do have this black coating on them, which essentially just means that they, with different weather changes and things like that, and so they'll play a little bit more consistently.
So I know when I'm playing with a concert band, for example, we do quite often have outside gigs, and I've had it when it's been absolutely pouring down, and I've had it when it's been baking hot. So at least by having this sort of plastic coating, it does help protect against those weather conditions and changes and the humidity and temperature. Fantastic. So if you're looking to be more of a classical player, what sort of reeds would you look at?
The Reserve range is a great place to start. So I'll kind of go up, and I say this is gradiences in warmth. So if you start with just the Reserve, these have a traditional blank thickness and a traditional tip, and it just gives you a really nice centered tone and can work for lots of different situations if you're playing within an orchestra, if you're in your wind band or concert band. And then if you take a step up from that, and again in grades of warmth, you have the Reserve Classic, and this just gives you a little bit more of a rounded sound. And these have a slightly thicker blank, and they have squared tip corners so that you still get like a nice easy articulation and response from the reed. And then moving up from that, you have the Reserve Evolution, which I'll note that it's the only unfiled reed in the whole of the Reserve line. And this has the thickest blank, but it has a traditional tip. And what this means is it gives you like a really nice overall projection, really round, rich sound. And it's fantastic if you're working with orchestras and you want to do any solo repertoire, or you're just advancing within your playing and you're just wanting a slightly warmer sound. They're really great reeds.
I say the Reserve Evolution is where I tend to go personally, because it does give you that bit more tonal colour to your playing as well. So it does sort of just open it up that little bit more and give you that little bit more brightness and sort of rounded sound as well. And then we've also got on the end the more recent development within reed. So this is quite an exciting one, isn't it?
Very exciting. Venn, yes. So it is our synthetic reed that we launched in April. So it's very new to the market, and it's quite an exciting development for us because Jim D'Addario basically tasked the Woodwinds team and said, we want you to produce a synthetic reed that has all of the tonal qualities of a cane reed. And so they got cracking on working on that. So what we've done is we've tried to reverse engineer the structure of cane. So Venn is made up of hundreds of layers of polyfibers, and this is all encased in resin, and it has real cane particles in there, which helps to kind of make it resonate more like a cane reed and give you that nice warmer sound. And the perfect thing about having a synthetic reed is that they are super consistent. They'll play exactly the same every time. They don't get affected by humidity, weather changes, temperature changes, or anything like that. And their response is just pretty much like instantaneous. You don't have to wet the reed or anything like that. You can just pick up your instrument and start playing. So if you double and you play in quite a few pit bands, perfect, because if you're chopping and changing, don't have to worry the fact that it's going to squeak or something like that. It will just play out.
So I think they're a really great addition to the range because there's so many different takes on the synthetic reed on the market. So the thing that I like is the fact that they have reversed engineered them from the classical sort of normal reed, as it were, from the cane. So you've also got that bit. Say I do a lot of playing, a lot of doubling and things like that, so it is ideal for that situation. And also similar to the plastic cover, but just taking it that bit further in terms of the style of the reed and the fact that it is more resistant to the humidity and temperature changes. So it's certainly a way to go. And I think, yes, the cost of a Venn is more than a single reed, your traditional reeds. But I think in terms of longevity of that reed, it will last pretty much as long as a box of 10. So the price is fairly comparable that way.
Oh, definitely. I know it's quite concerning when you look at the price of them and think, for one reed, but it really will last a lot longer. So you will get the lifespan of a 10 box of reeds with this one reed, and you don't have to worry about the fact that some of them may play very, very slightly differently. So you can just have your nice one reed that will play how you want it to.
And if you do accidentally chip them, break them, at least knowing that it's gone through the CNC process with the fine tolerances, you know when you pick up the next one, you can literally get it straight out of the box and straight into the pit or on stage.
Yeah, exactly. It will play exactly the same.
Fantastic, Lucy. Thank you very much for sharing all that information with us. I know it's been a great insight. So whether you are sort of a student player and wanting that quick response, or even actually progressing onto more pro playing and need that response as well, whether you're sort of a jazz player, classical player, playing outdoors, whether you want the different tonal qualities of a more classic sound, or whether you want the Venn sound and you've got that synthetic reliability there. There's certainly a reed that is for you. So if you enjoy this content, please click like, subscribe and comment below. Thank you very much for watching.